This one ingredient makes your lemon tree bloom instantly. Have you ever stepped into your garden in the quiet of the morning, coffee in hand, and looked at your lemon tree with a little disappointment? You gave it rich soil. You watered it carefully. You placed it where the sunlight pours in beautifully every day. And what does it give back? A full, healthy canopy of shiny, deep green leaves, but nothing more. No tiny white flower buds. No sweet citrus perfume floating through the air. And, of course, no lemons hanging from the branches. Welcome back to Earthly Delights, my friends. I'm truly glad you're here today, because what we are going to talk about may completely change the way you understand your lemon tree, your garden, and the quiet signals plants are always sending us. Many people who grow lemon trees wait for months, sometimes even years, hoping their tree will finally bloom. They keep feeding, watering, and caring for it, not realizing that one simple ingredient, often already sitting in a home, a garden shed, or within easy reach, is the key that can push a stubborn lemon tree into a beautiful flush of flowers. Today, I'm going to share that secret clearly and practically. But this is not just about throwing something on the soil and hoping for the best. To truly make a lemon tree flower, we need to understand what is happening inside the tree. We need to know why it keeps growing leaves instead of forming buds, why it refuses to shift into fruiting mode, and how experienced growers use timing, nutrition, and plant behavior to encourage strong flowering and a heavy fruit set year after year. By the end of this video, the way your lemon tree behaves will no longer feel like a mystery. You will begin to understand the quiet language of your garden with much more confidence. So put on your gardening gloves, breathe in that fresh earthy air, and let's uncover the secret to growing a lemon tree full of blossoms and abundant citrus. Part 1. The illusion of the comfort zone. To understand how to make a lemon tree bloom, we first have to understand why it refuses to bloom in the first place. And the first question I always ask is this: could your lemon tree simply be too comfortable? I know that sounds strange, because as gardeners, our instinct is to care, protect, feed, and provide. We want our plants to have good soil, regular watering, steady warmth, and all the nutrients they need. But nature often works in a way that surprises us. When a lemon tree has everything too easily, constant moisture, comfortable temperatures, and rich feeding, it can slip into what I call the growth comfort zone. Inside that tree, a quiet decision is happening all the time. Should I keep producing leaves, or should I move into reproduction and make flowers? When the tree feels that resources are endless, it has no real urgency to bloom. Why spend all that energy creating flowers, fruit, and seeds when life already feels safe, stable, and easy? The biggest reason this happens is often too much nitrogen. Nitrogen is an essential nutrient, but its main role is to push vegetative growth. It helps build chlorophyll, amino acids, and proteins, which is why a lemon tree with plenty of nitrogen can look incredibly lush, glossy, and deep green. Many gardeners see those beautiful leaves and think, my tree must be perfectly healthy. But in many cases, the tree has simply been pushed too far into leaf production. When nitrogen is too high, the tree keeps sending its carbohydrates and stored energy into new shoots and fresh foliage. This creates a hormone pattern inside the plant where growth signals such as auxins and gibberellins become dominant. These hormones encourage leafy growth, but they can also hold back the processes that lead to flower bud formation. So the tree may have every genetic ability to bloom, but it remains stuck in a kind of endless youthful stage, always growing leaves and never moving forward into flowers. And in a way, this feels very familiar, doesn't it? When life becomes too comfortable and we never face pressure or challenge, we often stop producing our best work. A lemon tree can behave the same way. It may look beautiful on the outside, but without the right signal, it will not feel the need to bloom. Part 2: the biological clock and the suffering requirement. So if comfort keeps a lemon tree from reproducing, what actually pushes it toward flowering? The answer is a change in its environment. The tree needs a signal that conditions are no longer perfectly easy. In simple terms, it needs a short period of mild stress. Lemon trees developed over many generations in subtropical regions where seasonal shifts and dry periods are part of the natural rhythm. When water is always available and the soil stays constantly moist, the roots remain relaxed. They keep absorbing water and nutrients with no difficulty, and the tree receives the message that everything is stable. There is no urgency to flower. But when we use what experienced growers call controlled water stress, the tree begins to change its behavior. By reducing irrigation for about 12 to 20 days, just until the leaves show a very slight, gentle droop, we imitate a natural dry spell. The tree begins to sense that conditions are becoming harder, and that is when it starts preparing to reproduce. This mild shortage of water slows down soft new growth, weakens the dominance of vegetative hormones, and encourages the tree to store carbohydrates instead of spending all its energy on new leaves. But water is only one part of the story. Light is just as important. When a lemon tree becomes too dense and overgrown, the inner branches sit in shade and cannot photosynthesize well. Without enough sunlight, those branches do not have the stored energy needed to support flower buds. That is why light, careful pruning matters. By removing strong, upright water sprouts and opening the center of the canopy, sunlight can reach deeper into the tree. That light becomes a signal, showing the tree which mature points are ready to support flowers. Part 3. The big reveal. The one ingredient. Now we know two important things. We must reduce excess nitrogen, and we must introduce a little controlled stress. But what actually gives the tree that strong push to bloom? What tells a stubborn, leafy lemon tree that it is time to stop making leaves and start forming flowers? The ingredient is mono-potassium phosphate, often called MKP. This is one of the tools many serious growers use because it gives the tree exactly what it needs for flowering without adding more nitrogen. For a flower bud to form, the tree needs a reproductive signal called phloragen. But for that signal to work properly, the strong push from vegetative hormones has to slow down, and the right nutrients must be available at the right time. This is where phosphorus and potassium work beautifully together. Phosphorus supports energy transfer inside the plant. It helps the tree produce the energy needed to turn an ordinary bud into a flower cluster. Potassium works differently. It does not push soft leaf growth. Instead, it helps regulate enzymes, manage water movement, and move sugars from the leaves toward the developing buds. Most common fertilizers contain enough nitrogen to keep the tree trapped in leafy growth. MKP is different. It dissolves fully in water and provides concentrated phosphorus and potassium with zero nitrogen. When it is mixed and applied correctly, it sends a strong, clear signal through the plant within days. The message is simple. Stop focusing on leaves and prepare to bloom. Part 4. The 2-week stress preparation phase. But before you mix MKP and pour it around your lemon tree, you need to be very careful with timing. In gardening, especially with citrus, patience matters just as much as the ingredient itself. You cannot take a tree that has been spoiled with water, nitrogen, and constant comfort, then expect one application to create a miracle overnight. First, the tree has to be prepared. The first step is the stress preparation phase. About 2 weeks before you apply the flowering trigger, stop giving the tree any nitrogen. If you are using a balanced, all-purpose fertilizer, pause it completely. This gives the tree time to use up some of the nitrogen already in its system and begins shifting it away from soft leafy growth. At the same time, begin controlled water stress. Reduce your normal watering by about 20 to 30%. If you usually water every 3 days, stretch that to every 4 or 5 days. The goal is not to punish the tree or let the leaves dry until they are damaged. You simply want the soil to dry enough for the roots to notice that conditions are changing. During these 2 weeks, the lemon tree begins to slow down. It stops rushing to make new leaves and starts adjusting its internal energy. It begins saving more carbohydrates and preparing itself for the next stage. This quiet preparation is what sets the foundation for a strong flowering response. Part 5. The dual application technique. Drench and foliar. Once the 2-week stress phase is complete, it is time to deliver the flowering signal. Many experienced growers use a simple but powerful 2-step method. A soil drench followed by a foliar spray. Start with the soil drench. Mix 3 to 5 grams of MKP into each liter of clean, room temperature water. Stir well until the powder is fully dissolved and the water looks clear. But remember one important rule: never apply this solution to completely dry soil. When soil is bone dry, concentrated minerals can create salt stress and damage the roots. Lightly water the tree first, wait about an hour, then pour the MKP solution around the root zone, especially near the drip line where the active feeder roots are working. Now comes the part many home gardeners overlook: the foliar spray. In a separate spray bottle, make a weaker mixture using only 1 to 2 grams of MKP per liter of water. Spray gently over the leaves and growing tips early in the morning or late in the evening when the sun is soft. This allows the tree to absorb phosphorus and potassium directly through the leaves, instead of waiting for everything to move through the roots. Do not spray in strong midday sun. Water droplets on the leaves can heat up quickly and cause leaf burn. When the drench and foliar spray are used together at the right time, the signal becomes faster, cleaner, and much more effective. Part 6. Nature's Alternatives: Wood ash and banana peels. Now, I know many gardeners in the Earthly Delights community prefer natural, organic ways to work with plants. So you may be wondering, can we encourage flowering without using a commercial product? Yes, we can. Long before modern fertilizers existed, gardeners used simple materials from the home, the farm, and the fireplace to support blooming and fruiting. One of the most valuable natural sources is wood ash. If you have clean ash from a fireplace or wood stove, it can be a powerful resource. Traditionally, wood ash was used to extract potassium carbonate, and this is where the word potash comes from. Wood ash has a rough NPK value of about 0 to 1,3, meaning it contains almost no nitrogen, but provides potassium, some phosphorus, and calcium. Wood ash can also help raise the pH of acidic soil while adding nutrients that support flowering and fruit development. During winter, you can sprinkle about a double handful per square meter around the base of the lemon tree, then gently work it into the top layer of soil. Use it carefully, because too much can make the soil overly alkaline. And then there is the simple banana peel. Banana peels are a natural and sustainable source of potassium. You can chop organic banana peels and soak them in water for a few days to make a mild banana tea. Or you can dry the peels in the sun until they become crisp and dark, then grind them into a fine powder. That powder works slowly in the soil, releasing potassium over time. Potassium helps move sugars through the plant and supports the development of stronger, more fragrant flowers. It is a beautiful reminder that nature often gives us what we need, as long as we learn how to recognize it. Part 7. The magnesium connection and structural manipulation. There is one important warning before we go any further. You cannot force a weak or unhealthy lemon tree to flower. Sometimes the reason a tree refuses to bloom is not only a lack of phosphorus or potassium. Sometimes the real problem is that the tree simply does not have enough energy. If you notice the older leaves turning yellow while the veins stay green, your lemon tree may be showing a magnesium deficiency. Many gardeners overlook this, but magnesium is essential because it sits at the center of the chlorophyll molecule. Without enough magnesium, the tree cannot photosynthesize properly. And if it cannot produce energy well, it cannot support the demanding process of making flowers. One simple correction is Epsom salt. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and it can help restore that missing magnesium. Dissolve about 30 grams, roughly 2 tablespoons, into 1 liter of water, then apply it as a soil drench or as a very light foliar spray. As the tree regains its green color and improves its energy production, it becomes much better prepared for flowering and fruiting. There is also an old horticultural technique that can help wake up stubborn branches: shoot bending. Upright vertical shoots are strongly influenced by a hormone called auxin. This hormone flows downward from the growing tip and suppresses side buds, which is known as apical dominance. When you gently bend a vertical branch down to about a 45 or 60-degree angle and tie it loosely in place, you interrupt that hormonal pattern. In simple terms, you are using gravity to loosen the tree's hormonal lock. Within a few weeks, the sleeping buds along that branch may begin to wake up. A bare, unproductive stem can slowly turn into a branch filled with flower clusters. This is one of the most practical examples of using structure to guide the behavior of a tree. Part 8. The golden timing and post-bloom magic. Now we come to one of the most important parts of the entire process: timing. This is often what separates casual growers from people who truly understand citrus. I like to call it the golden timing. Citrus trees respond strongly to temperature. They have a natural biological clock that is influenced by cool weather. In many cases, they benefit from a chilling period, usually around 10 to 20 nights, when temperatures fall below 15 degrees Celsius, or about 59 degrees Fahrenheit. This cool period helps prepare the tree internally for reproduction. The best time to apply MKP, wood ash, or banana peel powder is right when that cool period ends and the warmer spring temperatures begin to return. At that moment, the tree is already partly prepared by the cold. Your phosphorus and potassium signal then gives it the final push toward flowering. If everything is timed well, you may begin to see changes within 10 to 21 days. Small, tight green bumps can appear at the nodes of mature branches. These bumps slowly swell, open, and reveal clean white petals. Soon after, the whole garden can be filled with that rich, sweet fragrance that only citrus flowers can give. But once the flowers appear, your work is not finished. If your lemon tree is growing indoors or inside a greenhouse where there are not enough natural pollinators, you need to help with pollination. Use a small, dry paintbrush and gently move pollen from the anthers to the sticky stigma of nearby flowers. In other words, you become the bee. And please avoid one mistake that causes many gardeners heartbreak. Do not rush back in with high nitrogen fertilizer as soon as you see buds. Too much nitrogen at that moment can make the tree abandon its flowers and return to leafy growth, leading to bud drop. Wait until the fruit has actually set, then support the young lemons gently with a light organic feed, such as seaweed or fish-based fertilizer. Conclusion: the lessons of the lemon tree. Every time I work through this process, I am reminded that the rules of the garden often reflect the rules of life. When a lemon tree receives everything too easily, when it sits in a perfect comfort zone with constant water and too much nitrogen, it can look beautiful from the outside. It grows lush, green, and full of leaves, but it produces no fruit. It leaves no harvest behind. The change begins when the tree experiences a shift, a little dryness in the soil, a cool stretch of weather, a break from constant comfort. These signals tell the tree that it is time to transform. And when that mild stress is paired with the right nourishment, especially phosphorus and potassium, the tree finally gathers the energy to bloom. And maybe we are not so different. In complete comfort, we rarely grow in the deepest way. It is often the challenges, the changing seasons, and the right kind of nourishment that help us adapt, flower, and create something meaningful. Your garden is not only a place to grow food, it is a living classroom. If this helped you understand your lemon tree, or maybe even understand your own seasons of growth a little better, subscribe to Earthly Delights. Leave a comment and tell me, has your lemon tree bloomed yet? Or are you still waiting? I read every comment and I would love to hear your story. Until next time, keep your hands in the soil, keep listening to the lessons of nature, and as always, enjoy your earthly delights.